folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you, just like always, better than ever, with my co-host Nina the Mystic. Thank you for being here with me tonight.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. I'm glad you got your router going up again.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, and then I had to get going, and I see Christmas says, try resetting your router, and that's what I did. I couldn't get I shut the computer down, I turned it on, I shut everything off, turned everything on, nothing. I reset the router and turned it back on, and then I was good. So thank you for that. But I was already on top of it. I know what to do. I've been here before. There's Sunset Dreamer and Grandpa Brian. Yes, intense storms there too, Lucky Stone says. But anyway, thank you all for showing up. It's a happy Saturday night, as Lucky Stone is saying. There you go. Anyway, yes, having issues. Okay, there we go. I think I got everybody. Grandpa Brian, Lucky Stone, Chris Smith, Sunset Dreamer, Mary Wins. Welcome. Anyway, as we get tonight, we are talking about extinct animals. Why is this so important? Well, because we're humans. We're ruthless. We're terrible. You know, we're born killers. And we, even if we don't try, we do it anyway. You know, in some sort of fashion, we're always making something extinct because of our greed, our selfishness. Nina, can you add to some of that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, and I'm sure that we are at fault for a lot of it. But there's species that we've found that were here like thousands of years ago or whatever that aren't here now. And well, we wouldn't have the capability of it, doing that back then. Like, I don't know if it's all our fault, but probably a combination of nature and humans, I would think. Because there's natural disasters just like us, like we've had like mudslides with an earthquake taking out a whole village, taking out a whole, so we do have a lot of natural disasters that could potentially take out a whole species, depending on how small that species is, and which location, like how big of a location is it in, it would be very easy for that to happen, so I don't know if it's all our fault, although yes, we definitely have done some, like the buffalo, for instance. That was done deliberately, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it's really sad. It's really sad to say that, we almost extincted the buffalo. We extincted certain critters. Sometimes these critters were extincted on purpose, and sometimes, they were extincted, just by accident. You know what I'm saying? Like
overhunting something.
Yes. And then with the development of technology, that started a lot of extinctions too. We think something is good, like, hey, let's spray for bugs and keep the bugs off the plants. And instead we are extincting other animals too, because the chemicals that we put on the plants, they don't care. And then of course it trickles down because, well, who eats the plants? We do. So do the bugs. And then the bugs they're eaten after they get sprayed by some bird who dies later, or their eggs go bad, or so it's a long chain. It's a ripple effect. It's always a ripple effect. Of course, I'm going to share.
The funny thing about the whole spraying is that, we're not thinking that it's going down into our ecosystem, and eventually it's going to end up on your dinner plate. So, we're actually doing it to ourselves. You know.
Yeah, and we're gonna name a bunch of these critters that are on this board right here that we're gonna go through. Maybe some of them, like lately he's been in the news of the dire wolf.
Yes, I
Uh,
heard of that.
there was a I didn't know. See, everybody remember? I think we talked about this about all the penguins. All penguins are from South America, right? Or down in the South.
They are.
Are they? I don't know.
Penguins is in the North Pole, isn't it? That's where it's cold.
I thought penguins live in the South Pole.
No,
but there
penguins
was there.
like ice. Yeah, they're with the polar bears and all of those animals out. Where it's icy and cold.
I don't know. There was a North American penguin.
Let's hear in the comments, everybody. Where do the Antarctic? Where it's cold. Yeah, not where it's warm. That's what makes it so funny in the Bible, because they say.
I looked it up. Google says that penguins live exclusively in the southern hemisphere, with the greatest concentrations found on Antarctica and subcoasts of Antarctic islands.
All right,
there you go. Okay, but there was a species of penguin that did live in the north, believe it or not. That's this one here, went extinct. There's some lizards and there's birds, a dolphin that lived in the Chinese River. There was a giant ox that we're going to talk about, the oryx that died off. It was a European ox. There was woodpeckers that died off, seals that died off, the passenger pigeon that died off, turtles, the dodo bird, tigers that died off, different species of them anyway. The black rhino that died off, different types of butterflies. You just can go through the list. And none of these have been caused by spraying or whatever, but it's been by, over hunting, stuff like that.
Hunting now makes me wonder too, and I hate putting this out there because it's, but, could it have something to do with climate change? You know what I mean? If these species that like it cold were found somewhere where it used, you know what I mean? Like, is it because the climate changed and they just couldn't handle it? Or, you know what I mean?
That's a good question. The thing is I think that some of these species were knocked down to a point where they were very vulnerable, and they were probably living like the dodo bird lived on a Pacific island, and it didn't probably have the greatest numbers in the world, and any little change to its little home was devastating to it, because it wasn't one of those species that could change rapidly or defend itself rapidly. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Easy prey kind of thing.
Yeah. So, we got the dodo bird. Here's a dodo bird, and it was wiped out. The man came, and within a little bit, dogs and hunting and the depletion of its area where it lived, it literally died out really fast. It was a flightless bird. It was wiped out, kind of, they say, by sailors and invasive species early in the 1600s. And we think, the poor dodo, and yeah, well, it was probably going to die out eventually.
Well, not being able to fly, are kind of screwed a little bit. So
yeah, exactly. Didn't help that man had guns, and when man comes around, they take advantage of the situation. Hey, I'm on an island, and what's there to eat here? I didn't bring enough food, and look at here's this bird that's as big as a turkey, and all I got to do is walk up to it and clunk it in the head. Hey, food.
I was gonna say, it looks like good eats. Actually, it looks nice and plump. Yeah. So I can see that.
Exactly. Speaking of eating, one of the species that have gone extinct fast was the passenger pigeon. There were so many of these things then they inhabited the eastern United States, that they would fly and they would black out the sun because there were so many of them, and people would just shoot them and knock them out of the sky, as you can see in this picture, and they literally wiped them out. Oh, there's millions of them. Let's just have fun, and they're good eating.
Are these the same pigeons, like that we see today, like regular pigeons?
This is a passenger pigeon right here. It was probably a little bit bigger or whatever, or plumper or whatever, but it's a pigeon.
Because I found out a little while ago that we actually bred the pigeons, and because we used to use them for carrying messages and all kinds of things, and then once we didn't do that anymore, we just kind of left them, and that's kind of why they're hanging around, people in the town square and whatever. They don't know where to go or what to do, because the whole life they're just been had people tend to them. So yeah,
pretty much.
That was kind of sad.
And after there was billions of these pigeons, by 1914, man had wiped them off the face of the earth. He couldn't even save a couple few, Sad. From billions to none. And then we got this one, the Tasmanian tiger. There's a lot of controversy with this Tasmanian tiger lately. Have you heard?
No.
It was supposed to have been wiped out in 1936. It was it's from Australia. The Tasmanian tiger is a carnivorous marsupial. It was declared extinct in 1936. Now we got some. Was it totally extincted? That's a good question. Good question at all. Look at that. This is the thing. This is so recent that we can literally go back and see pictures of animals that are now totally wiped off the face of the earth. I mean, it's kind of sad. So, but we are gonna go back here. Hang on, I gotta do a few things here, and we're gonna stop share. Then we're gonna present a screen share, and then I'm gonna go back to this second share, and then we're gonna move on. But anyhow, is it extinct? That's the question. Here's a video.
Did you find some evidence of it today?
But if you look at the thing here, here's the kangaroos, and in the background you get to see something, and it doesn't look like a kangaroo. See it? See it running across the thing?
Well, yeah, I can't really tell what that is, but
well, yeah, but you guys can go look it up. But anyway, it's there's a kangaroo. It looks like a dog, a hopping dog, taken in 2024. There
so
it goes.
This is in Australia then, obviously, because there's kangaroos there.
Yes.
Okay. So they think they found some. Did they actually find them, or they just got them on camera?
Well, that's the thing. If there's so few of them and they live in the wilderness, you'd have to really work at trying to find one. But you can set up that's the wonderful thing about cameras. You can set things like that up, and here is
maybe there's a lot more that
here's a video of a Tasmanian tiger, from a zoo. It's just a short video, but you can see, kind of weird looking. Sad that we endangered them all. Here's my.
When dingoes got to Australia, the apex predator was the thylacine, the Tassie tiger. The dingo was bigger than most Tassie tigers and a far more adaptable hunter. They competed for food and territory, and dingoes most likely hunted down their smaller competitor. Thylacines disappeared from mainland Australia about 3,000 years ago. The last one died in the Tasmanian Zoo in 1936, and now they're gone forever.
And there we go. It's just one of those things. Like I said, they're there, and then they're gone. Well, are they going to bring them back? Will they find one or two and start breeding them? Will we be more responsible?
I would think so. I mean, we have rules and stuff now where, it's outlawed to hunt certain things and whatnot. We're paying more attention now, I think. Or I certainly hope so. So that we stop hunting and try to, take care of it. So
yeah, if they did find a mated pair, would they put them in a zoo and try to keep breeding them then? That's what I'm thinking is, what would they do?
I would think so, or at least have some embryos or something in the freezer. Because where does dire wolf come from? Like I've heard also, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that they got clones of dinosaurs too. So, but I don't know if that sounds a little far fetched, but who knows what they have? Really.
Yeah. So, okay, next up we have the great Ankh, the North Atlantic penguin. Like I said, there was the penguin-like seabird. It was gone by the mid-1800s. So there was an Atlantic penguin. It's just that we extincted it.
Of course.
Of course. It ranged from North America all the way up into Sweden, Norway, around England, Spain, into the Mediterranean. And what do you think we did? Extincted it. And by the 1800s. So, it was probably doing pretty good over here in North America until the Europeans came over and went, oh boy, look at food. They were probably easy eaten, or maybe
the natives would eat them too, wouldn't they?
I imagine. Or either they were good eaten or they were a pest, one or the other, because that's usually how they get extincted.
Yeah, who knows?
So
Lucky's here that Lucky's commenting here that the dire wolf clone is fake.
Yeah, it's not a true DNA dire wolf. They took DNA from different things to make a wolf that's very closely related.
Okay.
It's kind of, in the image, but not the real thing. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Okay.
So, the original penguins, the great.
I wonder now, because I know we're keeping every kind of seed in vaults, for eating and whatever. Now, I wonder, do we have clones of all the animals too?
It's a good question.
So that we could rebuild, like if you have to go underground, which apparently they've spent billions of dollars on building. I would think that they would want to bring, clones of all the animals too, so that they can rebuild one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So these penguins are gone. Now we got modern day stuff. The Yangtze River dolphin, Baji. Extincted. In 2006. This is what really gets me is, there's still, in 2006, that's like, 20 years ago. And
that's in China. It's in China. They don't give an F about anything.
It's like, there's a dolphin there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a freshwater dolphin. In 2006, last one. And then, of course, we have the black rhino. And this was declared extinct in 2011 due to poaching. Sorry, everybody. The black rhino is no more. You think a big critter like this, like we were talking about, like bugs or something. I don't really care if the mosquito would go extinct. But, but the rhino going extinct, it's like, it's a huge animal, people. Come on. Why are you stupid? Why are you getting rid of,
I know. And you know what? They did so well up until we invented the guns, and that.
Yes.
There's just no match for them. Yeah, and money. It always goes down to the money because they want to sell that horn there thing, whatever it's called, for money.
Exactly.
Tusk or whatever it's called. Same with the elephants too. I bet you they're going to go extinct too if they don't smarten up over there. And
Yes.
that's another thing too. Don't go buying these items, because they make jewelry and stuff out of it, and you can buy it. You know what I mean? Like, stop buying that shit because an animal, had to pay with its life for that.
If they want the horn of the rhino, then raise rhinos like you do, cows, and then take the horn, but don't go ahead and, we section off this wilderness, and then, poachers just go out there and kill them all off. Well, that ain't the point of sectioning off the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got to do a control. Yeah, controlled. It's like we do here, like hunting. Like, you have to have a number. It's like a lottery. And there's only so many deer that are going to get killed that season. You can't just go all, hillbilly here and shoot everything that's in the forest. I mean, that's, so I'm hoping that the rest of the world is catching on as well, and doing that. And like you said, why not raise them? Have farms. You can make tons of money. There you go. Somebody, there's an idea. You want to make good money? Go down and raise some rhinos and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how is the meat here? Is there a reason why they're not taking the whole animal? Can you not eat this animal?
Well, I imagine you could, but if you're a poacher and the horn is worth $20,000-$30,000, I'd cut the horn off and run like hell.
Yeah, but to try to avoid that, my idea was like, okay, so because we do kill animals to eat.
Yes.
So fine. If you kill the rhino and then you eat the whole thing, you use the whole thing. And, there's a lot of things you could do with all kinds of parts there. Like, then it's okay. Then it's okay. Then, hey, the tusk is part of it, right? But yeah, when you're just going to kill an animal, like the sharks just blow me away. They actually cut the fins off and then just let the shark float down to the bottom because he can't swim now.
Yeah.
And die that way instead of killing it. Like, it's just horrible. Yeah, it's
but you're right. It's like, just take the valuable parts.
Yeah.
Throw the rest away.
That should be outlawed, and we should be treating these animals just like we treat all the other animals, like you buy it to eat it. You don't just shoot it for pleasure.
Of course, we got the next one. The giant, the Pinta Island tortoise from the Galapagos Islands.
Wow.
Yeah, huge tortoise.
That's almost like dinosaurish.
I know.
That's
and
scary.
It probably went to, the last one died. His name was George. Died in 2012. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah, he's like a big giant dinosaur. But imagine, even if there was 100 of these things when man first found them, they were probably like, oh boy, let's kill some off and get that big shell, take it back home. That's got to be worth something.
Yeah. And I can also see how intimidating this animal is. And our first instinct would be to just kill it because you would be worried about it, right? So I can see that happening too. But
I mean, I don't think it's too intimidating right here. Look at
it. If this thing gets mad, he can probably fuck you up pretty good, like if he wants to, right? So it's pretty big.
Just big. Just big.
I don't think you
they live forever. I mean,
look at that face. Would you want that thing coming at you? Look at that. Look at those eyes. Oh shit! I would be running or shooting, one or the other.
Yeah, but I mean, but in reality, think about it. I mean, he's he's huge, and they live hundreds of 100 years or two. So it's like, I think the downfall of these type of turtles is the fact that they don't breed very often. They breed whenever, and then they don't have enough babies to, they lay their eggs and then they walk away, and then some bird comes along or some new species comes along, like a dog, and then eats the eggs. And well, it only lays 3 eggs, and it ate all 3. It's got to wait 10 years now before it has another Another
You would
batch.
think that, the mother would just wait around, but I guess not.
No, that's not the way they do it.
Yeah,
No.
nature does take its course, you know what I mean? So if it's not meant to be, and it kind of almost looks like, something from the dinosaur era, and we've basically, tried to eradicate all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off the Hook says our seas whales are dying in record numbers. Yeah. Did you
Yes.
know that the Atlantic gray whale, they hunted it down, the Atlantic gray whale, until it went extinct in the 18th century? I was like, oh my gosh, they were killing them, so many of them off. Anyway, we're going to go something fuzzy and furry and funny. Now you recognize.
Before you do, I just want to follow up on the whales. I live right here on the West Coast, and apparently we just found another one floated up ashore again. Like we've had quite a few dead whales, more so than usual. Now I've heard though that the water is getting warmer, and so they probably don't like it. And then we're also getting the sharks coming up in our neck of the woods as well because it's getting warmer. So there's something to do with the climate change for sure. There's absolutely a climate change, and it's absolutely affecting the animals. Their habitats are getting affected, and they can migrate places now that they couldn't before, or whatever. And which will contribute to loss of species as well, because they might think it's all fine and dandy until they go there, and then realize, oh, we're not at home, we're not in Kansas anymore, and they might not thrive there. So, anyway, sorry.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. I'm glad your input. Well, you recognize this, right?
Lovebirds.
No.
No.
These are Sphinx macaw from Brazil. They're parrots. They are famous for being the blue Sphinx macaw, extinct, for being in this movie. Remember the movie Rio? A Disney movie. I remember seeing the average.
I don't think I did, because I had my kids like a long time ago, and so I'm still back at Toy Story days.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, there was a movie with this blue parrot, Rio, and it was this type of a parrot. It is now extinct, even though we had a movie about it. It is now extinct in the wild.
Maybe that's why they saw it in the movie, so now everybody wants to go and get one to bring home.
Yeah, there's something there. The species is dying out. I guess they got some in zoos, but it's extinct in the wild. So it's just kind of sad that here you got this movie about a parrot, and it gets really famous, and yet they're still going extinct. I mean,
it's do something to protect them, but
yeah, I know you think so, but who wants to give up their land? You want to give up your land to save the whales or save a parrot?
Yeah, remember the whole Avatar, movie? It was all about them coming to take down the forest, and taking all the animals' habitat away. That's what it was all about. And so, absolutely, you go and which is what we've been doing. And it's kind of weird where I live, because I'm right in town. It's busy streets and everything else. Yet I have a small little forest right there. It's like the one tiny little patch that made it.
Yeah,
that was untouched. It's kind of funny, and we got all kinds of animals out there, like right in front of my door, like bears and deer, and they come right up to my door.
Yeah,
like literally, So it's a neat place to live, but but all the other and then you complain, oh, the bears are getting into the garbage and all that. Well, who invaded whose place here, right? So we're bitching about that. And it's like, they were here first. Like, I know it's a weird place to be.
They were, and they did. See who else we got. We got the aurochs. This was a wild bull, a wild cow that actually inhabited Europe. As you can see here in the little corner up here, it was down by the Mediterranean, and so forth and so on. The last one was actually shot in Poland in the 1600s. Or was it the 1600s here? Yeah, the last one was shot in the Jataro Forest in Poland in 1627. They were huge, as you can see by a man here. These things were big, very
Yeah, we
big.
do. Huge, yeah. So
Yeah,
did they
and
people use them? Were they domesticated or just wild?
some of them, and you can see, well, here by this picture here, you can see this is what they were, and they just domesticated some of them. The two versions of them. So they're kind of living on in some ways, but none of them exist in the wild, and they're it's a kind of a so-so thing because they got mixed with cows and docile down because they were
This is
probably
the cow's ancestors, kind of thing.
yes, exactly. These things were huge, and they were feared, and they've been around for thousands of years because they were drawn onto cave paintings. Thousands of years before they were drawing them on caves. So these things had a good foothold, except man came along, invented better weapons, and said, well, either we can domesticate them or we can kill them off. Lots of food there.
That's probably what happened, yeah.
Food. And
they'll kill one and only be able to eat half, so to speak, because they don't have no refrigeration or any way of, storing food. So I can see a lot of waste, and they'll be like, who cares? We'll just go get another one tomorrow and just waste it. And then all of a sudden, now we got none.
Yes. California condor. Somehow I missed the picture of the condor, but you can see they're huge birds. If you live in California, you probably know them, but they're big birds. I mean, they're huge. They are huge. Not extinct, but very close to it. This one here is it's an ibex or something like that. God, I had it on here a second ago. Let me find it. We're talking about the thing. Okay, the Uruk. Well, they were huge animals. Yeah, they lived in France. The Uruks lived in France. Sorry about that. We'll go back to the Uruk. Yeah, the Uruks. Oh, yeah. I got a little bit of written down here. The Uruks were huge, aggressive. They were powerful. They were sacred animals, believe it or not, by the Egyptians and Europeans. And a lot of them lived in France. Basically, again, like you said about the bears, loss of habitat, hunting, etc. Anyway, we're going back to this. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out there because this is the ibex. This thing here is from Spain. I wrote a bunch of stuff down about the ibex, so I don't know where I put it. A lot of my notes. Sorry about my notes. Anyway, why is it disappearing? Well, it disappeared because it lost its habitat again. It just little by little, and then disappeared. There were subspecies of them, and then we go on. This is a little porpoise that lives on the California coast, believe it or not, and they're called the Vaquilia dolphin, or the Vaquilia, or porpoise, or something like that. They're almost extinct. There's only about 100 or so left. They're real small. They're like half the size of a dolphin, and so they're going extinct. So if you live over there, they are just about gone. You won't see them anywhere. Let's see. It's a modern extinction of. It's basically because of people using gill nets. But are we trying to save them? It says here, in recent reports in 2024, only 8 to 10 Vaquilias remain, making it likely they are functionally extinct, meaning they will not be able to recover. Wow, 8 to 10 left. What
Wow.
why aren't we doing something about it? Jeez.
I know, right?
Nope. We're gonna just let them go extinct. Now here's a big guy. Did you know that the big giant orangutan you probably seen in zoos when you went? I know I seen one in a zoo. They're almost extinct. They're critically endangered. Their situation is very serious. They're not yet extinct, but they could be. Now in 2024, there's different types of these. There's the Bornean orangutan. It's critically endangered. There's the Sumatran orangutan. It's critically endangered. And the Tapanupi orangutan, and that is the most endangered. There's only fewer than 800 of them left. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty sad. And of course, there's species like this one, the coelacanth. You've heard of this one. The coelacanth, extinct for millions of years until some guy caught one and said, "Oh yeah, they live in deep sea over here on the coast of Africa or wherever." I guess there's some on the coast of California that they found now, but extinct no more. Prehistoric.
Yeah, so I bet you there's so much going on underneath the ocean that we are not aware of. And so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that there's all kinds of things that we thought were extinct. But I think, and also thinking there, because the water is warming up, that some of them might be coming up because of the change of the temperature or something. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
How they're all of a sudden starting to appear now.
Well, you know as well as I do, we really don't know a whole lot about our oceans, and
No.
you know these things could exist out there, and we wouldn't know it. It's one of those things that it could be there, it could not be there. You could swim right under your boat, you wouldn't know it. Yeah. Off the Hook says there's lots of animals in Hawaii that went extinct too. Yeah, because when the man came over there, they, you know, I think there's some sea lions that are going extinct right now. You know, I got a bunch of them that I don't even have pictures for that.
You know, it makes you wonder, like, what is this doing to the ecosystem? You know, what is this? What consequences are we going to get from this?
Mm-hmm. Now, wait a minute. You know, see, this is what the show is all about because, you know, I understand what we're going to get about this. But here's the big question. And I'm going to go through a little list here. The woolly mammoth, the saber-toothed tiger, the megalodon shark, the Irish elk, the monoan from New Zealand. It's a bird. And the short-faced bear. And that one's from North America. Now, all of these critters were before man actually got, you know, hanging around. Now, what made these giant, like the woolly mammoth, go extinct? Was it, you know, it had to be climate change or some catastrophe that happened because man wasn't there to kill them all off.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, according to whatever, you know, the dinosaurs were here and, you know, some disaster happened and took them all out. So were they part of that then, maybe? Or
yeah, it's a good question. Now, my, you know, and that's, you know, what about us? Then that's the last question I should say. You know, what about us? That's my question to you. What about us, humans?
Are we going to go extinct? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. Do you think that we would go extinct?
We could.
Now remember,
with the decline in birth rates and whatnot, we are kind of heading that way no matter what we do. They don't even really have to do anything. You know, we're kind of doing it to ourselves. We're not, you know, you have to have at least 3 in order to replace. Otherwise, you're just, you know what I mean? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's gonna happen right there. These are things that we got manipulated into thinking was the way to go, and now we might be in danger. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and never mind all the natural disasters that could happen.
Well,
Earthquakes, whatever. You know what I mean?
oh yeah. Well, okay. Think about it. I think about it this way. We're talking about the orangutan, and the orangutan. There's three different places where they're at, and different subspecies of each one, and some are more extinct than the other ones. And here's a thought for food for thought, or thought for food, or something like that. Humans. Well, there was different varieties of humans. There was the Neanderthals, and they lived between 400 and 40,000 years ago. They ranged from Europe, Central Asia, and the Middle East. They were pretty intelligent. They used tools and stuff like that, made art, but they went extinct. There was also the Denisovans. Yes, if there's Denisovans, but they lived from 200 to 40,000 years ago. They range from Siberia, which is a harsh climate, Asia, and maybe Australia. But yet they were adapted to high altitudes, and yet they went extinct. We also have Homo erectus, and they lived in Africa, Asia, and Europe. They were the first to control fire, and yet they went extinct. And they have Homo habilis. Again, they lived 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago. They were in the East and Southern Africa. And you know what? Even though they still went extinct too. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Homo florensis, which is the hobbit person. They lived about 50,000 years ago. They lived on the Flores Islands, Indonesia. Their height was only like 3.5 foot tall. They made tools and they hunted, but again, they're extinct. And then and we can keep going on. The Homo nabilia, again, thousands and thousands of years ago. Homo habilis, I guess it is. And again, they were ancestors to Neanderthals, and so forth and so on. But all of these people went extinct, and now we, we're the last species. Are we going to go extinct? Will we extinct ourselves? That's the biggest question.
Well, it seems like the elite is trying to, make it so that doesn't happen, I guess, by preparing for going underground, having all the seeds, and, I'm sure there's people who have been living underground for a long time already. They probably got babies and everything else down there, and a whole different thing, So, yeah, so I mean, that to try to, preserve the species, I guess, right? And I'm assuming that we've survived, stuff before, like even the flood. There is evidence that there was a flood here, around the time that they said it was. So, and we're still here. So we do seem to survive somehow. The smart ones, whatever, they go underground, up in caves or whatever, you know what I mean? But the caves that go underground. So, so there'll be some of us, just us regular people. We're not going to make it, obviously, but they are.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Did we, being the Homo sapien version, that outsmarted and outlasted all the other ones, now will we outsmart ourselves? Will we dig these holes and will we be buried in the holes we dug? That's what I'm thinking is, we're gonna.
Yeah, they already have our successors, or it's already here, which is AI, right? AI. AI is going to be taking over everything now, so they don't really need us anymore, and that's kind of why we were made, apparently, for a purpose, and now we have fulfilled that purpose, and we're no longer needed. Something else is going to take over now, so That's where we're going. And so, yes and no to that question, I guess. I mean, some probably will survive, but most of us will not.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
So everybody, homework for the week, everybody make up messages in the bottle or, time capsules and all that kind of stuff. Leave some stuff for the next people to find.
Good advice. That is kind of good. Make yourself a time capsule. I'm sure there's things on the internet on how to make a time capsule, and put it away and put a note in there or something. Obviously, don't write on paper. In about 100 years, that paper will be a bunch of dust, and somebody will open up the bottle and go, "Huh, look what we found! An empty bottle with some dust in it."
That's the problem. You can't really throw a tablet in there. But yeah, that was definitely why they used tablets, because they knew that. They could have used papyrus roll, but they didn't. They used tablets because they know it's going to last, Yeah.
That's a very good point. Did the people from the past know something, and that way, said, "Hey, we're going to preserve our history on these clay tablets because they will last the test of time." When even today, we don't even do that. We just go, "Oh, we're going to put it on a CD, a disc, a thumb drive, something like that." And, it'll be good. And then they go, "Huh, we lost the information for the moon landing." How did that happen? It was on one of those big reels. And even if we had I remember the guy saying,
no, they said it was the VHS tape and they taped over it.
Oh, they taped over
it. The excuse is so lame. There's just, at least come up with something believable. There's just no way that kind of information got taped. There's no way. So
that's right. That's right. That's right. And if you're gonna do something with metal, go get yourself one of these mugs with my mug on it, and one of these T-shirts over at Nina's shop with my picture on it. That'll last you a lifetime, and you'll have a metal mug with my mug on it. If not, order some stickers from Nina with the Anachron on it. So, this one's a magnet. This is a cool one. Or you can get my sticker with a magnet on it. Shirt, sticker, the whole 9 yards. Anachron shirts with Nina. You can put a link in the description. We got some in the description. Put a link in the chat. But anyway, go over there, support our channels, and get yourself one of these shirts, because soon the design is changing. As soon as I send Nina some new information.
Limited time only to get Robert's mug on your merch, because we're coming out with something new.
That's going to be something new. I was going to do it today, but I just ran out of time. But anyway, with that, Nina, what would you, this is my question to you. What would you do if you could change and help not extinct the animals? How would you work the world to change it?
Well, I can't change the world,
No, but I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically, like I said, we can't, I can't change the world. You can't change the world. We can do it slowly or little by, like you said, just don't buy that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get to. So I guess awareness, that's where it's at. First we got to let people be aware of it, because most people aren't. Most people are asleep. They have no clue. We're still throwing garbage on barges and throwing it out to the sea. This is the mentality that we're still got going on this planet. And so we need to start, but this, I tried to do the whole waking everybody up 10 years ago. I'm done with that. But, it's not my job to do that. But bring in awareness, and I guess that's what we're doing here. Mind you, most of our audience is, aware of these things. But, but if you guys share this out to people that maybe aren't, maybe people, a lot of people don't know that there's animals being extinct, and that's something we can do about it. And bring awareness so that we stop doing that, so hopefully that would,
and do we have to go through and spend millions of dollars? I mean, look at the California condor. They spent millions of dollars to bring that bird back, raising him in captivity and, letting a few go and reestablishing. there's other ones that went extinct years ago. Stellar sea cow. I just want to mention a few of these. The Stellar sea cow went extinct in 1768. It was like a manatee, but it lived over on the Pacific, in the Pacific Ocean, I guess. They have the Atlantic gray whale. I mentioned that earlier. Went back extinct in the 18th century. We'll never see one of those. The Yangtze giant soft-tailed turtle from China. Of course, pollution. And then we have the New Zealand grayling, went extinct in the 1900s. Although I do have a video of a few of animals that are going extinct or sort of extinct. Oh shoot, I don't have it up. But anyway, so Nina, what would you? Okay, let's go back with the dire wolf. I think that's humanity's way of trying to bring back an animal that's been killed off or died off. Would you
also
do that?
Very popular, right? Because it was in that movie, right? So
yes,
yeah.
What would you or would you not spend lots of money to bring that animal back?
What's the purpose?
It's a good question. That's a good question.
That's the thing, there's probably other species that, probably, because there is going to be consequences when you're, messing with nature like that.
Yep.
There's going to be, so where in that chain link is the most critical? That's where I would be looking at for us to survive, because we're always thinking about that. Yes. Like, you know what I mean? So
or one that serves a purpose. We already have wolves. Yeah. Why bring back dire wolves?
It's funny that you mentioned mosquito, because that's something we all hate. But it's actually an animal that is well loved. Like bats love mosquitoes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a ripple effect.
Right? So if you took away the mosquito, it would be a lot more comfortable for us out there in the summer. But you would probably be killing off other species that depend on that. So that's so you kind of got to look at the food chain here and see what is the most critical chain right now. You got to do, it's kind of like a triage, it's what you're doing here in nature, and which is going to affect us. So, so that's my answer for the dire wolf. I don't know how important to us is that, because it's not like we're going to have to go home and pet it.
Yeah, because they're working really hard to bring back mammoths and dire wolves. It's like, well, why don't you bring back something that ain't going to kill us?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think that's a lot of the reason why those bigger animals are gone, is because we killed them off. Because, the guy wouldn't want to leave home knowing that one of those could just come in and kill his family. He's going to make sure that things are gone. That's just the way it goes. You got to protect your own, and that's probably what happened to them.
We
do not want to bring them back, because now all of a sudden we got these big giant things running around. No. I've seen the movies.
Well, exactly. Like if I was a scientist and I could bring back a herd of mammoths like this, what kind of area would they live in? Where would you put them? Where would you put them? In California? Oh no, we're gonna put them in the forest over there in Canada because there's some space there, and then we're gonna fence it off. Hundreds of thousands of acres for these mammoths to live in. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, then you can't go there because they're dangerous. They'll kill you.
But, is it habitable? That's the problem.
Yeah.
The hope of seeing these magnificent creatures walk the earth again brings a thrilling prospect.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, let's just ride one.
Finding these ancient giants, cloning them, or creating hybrid elephants with mammoth traits. Ivory-billed
woodpecker when it was extinct. There might be some out there, but think about it. This is something you should be saying, we extincted it. We shot them all. We killed them all.
Measuring about 20 inches in length with a wingspan of nearly 30 inches, the ivory-billed woodpecker is one of the largest woodpeckers in the world. It is often referred to as the Lord God bird due to its striking appearance and elusive nature, and it was long thought to be extinct. Its striking plumage features glossy black feathers with prominent white markings on its neck and a white stripe running down its back.
See, now something like that, I would say, woohoo! You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
let's bring back the woodpecker. I mean,
I
it's a
remember
pretty,
I had a woodpecker peck up on the roof every morning.
yeah.
It's not fun.
This one's a big one, I guess.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that.
It really keep you awake. Here's one
Oh,
they're
yeah.
bringing back in Australia or New Zealand. Let's listen to this one.
Ornithologists, amateur birders, and communities that view the bird as a cultural symbol have poured in, reinforcing the hope that this majestic bird is still out there. Takahe. The takahe, a large
The tahake. I can't even say that. But this is a huge bird in Australia that they thought was extinct, and then they found a few of them, and they started breeding them again, and now they have a bunch of them.
Well, there you go. Well, I would think that, like, if you found some, breed them, and then, start collecting their eggs and things, so that, if the day does come that it's gone, or you go underground, like, I would think that they have done that.
I think you're right.
I would think so. They have, because, they're going to want that when they come back up.
Let's listen to a little more of this.
flightless bird native to New Zealand was long thought to be extinct.
It's kind of like a dodo.
Known for its vivid plumage and robust size, the takahe was last seen in the late 19th century, leading scientists to conclude it had fallen victim to habitat destruction and introduced predators. However, in a remarkable turn of events, the bird was rediscovered in 1948 by Dr. Jeffrey Orbell in the remote Murchison Mountain.
So here you got this bird. As you see it, it looks like a big chicken. I suppose it was on the wild and it was flightless. You would knock it in the head and chicken dinner.
There's your dinner. Yeah, it would be too easy for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now my big question is: are these animals meant to come back? Are they supposed to be extinct? That's the way I look at it. There's such a small number in the beginning, and I see some of the big ones, like we talked about the passenger pigeon. There was millions, and we killed them all off. There was millions of these and millions of those, and we killed them all off. Like bears, like the state bear of California. Here's a good one for you. The state bear of California is actually an extinct bear because they killed them all off. The bear they fly on the flag doesn't even exist anymore, believe it or not. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah. How pathetic. Oh, it's our state on our state flag, this bear. Oh, we killed them all, but it's still on the state flag. Because, it was, couldn't run down Malibu anymore, so we killed it off. We put it on the flag to honor it. Yeah, it's just crazy. Here's another one. You were talking about elephants. We're going to go with this elephant. Javan elephant.
The Javan elephant species was believed to have vanished by the end of the 18th century due to habitat destruction and human encroachment on the island of Java, Indonesia. However, a surprising twist emerged in recent years, changing our understanding of these magnificent creatures. DNA analysis revealed that the elephants on Borneo were genetically distinct from other Asian elephants, closely resembling the Javan elephants of old. This finding suggested that the Javan elephants were not extinct, but had somehow migrated to or been transported to Borneo centuries ago. This is because the Borneo elephants, just like the Javan elephants, have several distinct characteristics. They are generally smaller than their mainland Asian counterparts, with shorter, straighter tusks, and a more compact body structure. The males may only grow to less.
Well, the thing is you got these small elephants. And we're talking, we take up the space. There's no place for them to live. What do you do with them?
I know.
When a guy comes in and he's a developer and he says, I'm going to put condos here and a skyscraper, or I need a boat dock, and the elephants are in the way, who's winning? The boat dock.
Yeah, I know.
Skyscraper. And then the guy's going to say, well, just relocate those two elephants to down the street. They'll be fine. Well, it's kind of the way it works.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, that's what's happened to some areas, that we just went in, just like the movie, The Avatar. It's a perfect example. people. You know, they just go in there and bulldoze it down. And where are all these species supposed to go? You know, so yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, here's a good one. This is a shark.
Signaled its ancient lineage. The frilled shark has a long, eel-like body, measuring up to 2 meters, which is about 6.5 feet in length. Its name comes from the 6 pairs of gill slits on its throat, which have a distinctively frilled appearance. These features, along with its numerous needle-like teeth and the peculiar arrangement of its fins, are strikingly similar to those of its ancient fossilized relatives. The frilled shark's unique body characteristics provide significant clues about its ancient origins. Its primitive features, such as the placement of its gill slits and the structure of its jaw, are reminiscent of early shark species that swam the oceans over 80 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. The frilled shark's eyes can glow in the dark, emitting a greenish-blue hue. This bioluminescence helps it navigate and hunt in the deep, dark ocean depths. Only a few frilled sharks have been seen or captured since then.
Well, see, and that's another thing. We don't know much about the oceans, yet we dumped a lot of garbage in there. How proud we should be.
I know. It's terrible.
You know, I mean, think about it. This poor shark living at the bottom of the ocean in the dark because it's got glow-in-the-dark eyes and stuff like that. It's feeding off the bottom, and we're just dumping garbage on the top of the ocean going, oh, we got rid of that. And this poor shark at the bottom's going, what are they doing up there?
Well, yeah, I mean, but not only is there like physical garbage, but you also have a whole pile of radiation. You got a whole pile of oil. And actually, I hate to say it, but that's something to be looking out for here this July.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we'll talk about that in astrology about oil, and might be some oil spills or something like that. That really irks me. Like, and this is another reason why it's like, why are we importing out oil? Why don't we just keep the oil in where it comes from? There's no need. We shouldn't have to transport that anywhere. Because there's so many times it's been spilt in the ocean, and what is that doing to our, seafood here? That we're then turning around and consuming. Never mind the mercury. That's known. You don't eat too much tuna.
Yeah, don't worry. You just eat all the tuna and bottom feeder things that you want because it's perfectly healthy, even coated in oil.
Right.
Don't worry. We dump our garbage down there. It's fine.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's the coelacanth.
The incredible discovery happened when Marjorie Courtney Latimer, a museum curator, noticed an unusual fish among the local fishermen's catch. The fish was sent to ichthyologist J.L.B. Smith, who confirmed it was a coelacanth, a species long thought to be extinct. Coelacanths are easily recognizable due to their unique body characteristics, which strongly resemble those of their ancient fossilized ancestors. They possess lobed pectoral and pelvic fins, which are fleshy and limb-like, a feature that links them closely to the early tetrapods and provides clues about the transition from sea to land animals. Coelacanths have a 3-lobed caudal fin and a rostral organ in their snouts, used for electroreception, which helps them navigate and hunt in the dark depths of the ocean. These fish can grow up to 2 meters in length and weigh as much as 19 kilograms, which is about 200 pounds. Their scales are thick and cosmoid, similar to those found in fossilized specimens. One of the most telling characteristics of their ancient lineage is their unique hollow spine, a feature known as a notochord, which serves as a flexible support structure. Living at depths of 150 to 700 meters, coelacanths have evaded detection for so long due to their deep-sea habitat. Now, we know why it took humans so long to find them. La Palma.
So on the coelacanth, it lives at the bottom of the ocean, but it really bugs me that they keep saying, oh, it's the predecessor to people or the fish going on the land. And I'm thinking this fish didn't go on the land. It lives at the depths of the ocean. Well, how did it get on land? It ain't even a topwater fish. Tell me that.
I have no idea.
See, that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Of course, we got this one here, giant lizard.
Giant lizard. The La Palma giant lizard, also known as Galotia awarite, once thought to be lost to history, has made a surprising comeback on the island of La Palma. For centuries, this reptile was known only from subfossils, with its decline believed to have started around 2,000 years ago, when humans first arrived on the island. The species was presumed extinct for the last 500 years, but recent sightings and photographs.
Again, it goes with humans arrived and the thing went extinct. I wonder why.
Yeah, there's a common thread here.
Yeah, there is. It just gets me. Oh, humans arrived, and soon after, the things went extinct. Humans showed up, and everything went extinct. Humans invented new weapons, and everything went extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Oh, this is a cool one.
This finding also emphasizes the importance of conservation efforts and habitat protection, as many species believed to be extinct might still survive in unexplored or remote areas. Laotian rock rat. The story of the Laotian rock rat's rediscovery unfolded in the dense jungles of Laos, when a team of researchers stumbled upon an unusual rodent specimen that resembles a mix between a rat and a guinea pig. The Laotian rock rat, also known as the Kanyu, is a rodent species that was long considered extinct until its surprising rediscovery in 1996. This creature, native to Laos, had not been seen for over 11 million years, leading scientists to...
See, that's another thing. Oh, it was extinct for 11 million years. Like, maybe nobody bothered to look at it or look for it or knew what it was. I'm sure the locals knew that those things were there for 11 million years.
Well, maybe they were out of people's sight. Who knows?
Well, they had to be. Otherwise, people would have killed them off. That seems to be the thing, you know.
Some were smart and they hid from humans.
Well, all I can think of is at some point in time, all these species, regardless, like I said, we didn't make the woolly mammoth go extinct. You know, there was no way we made the saber-toothed tiger go extinct. There's no way we made the megalodon shark go extinct. Other factors were involved because, you know, I mean, I can't see man going out there and hunting the megalodon shark and chopping off its fins because, you know, they were priceless or something. You know, I mean, that would just be kind of stupid. If you know what I mean. Like, oh, we all get together on a canoe and then we paddle out in the ocean. We find this giant megalodon shark and then we kill one and we chop off its dorsal fin and it's worth thousands of dollars or, you know, or coconuts or something. Red Flintstone style, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be just too dangerous.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows what happened to them?
So I do think that, you know, everything has a beginning and an end. It's just the way the world works. Maybe this little rat was destined to go extinct, or, you know, its population numbers just fell so low that it was only, you know, in this one little habitat, you know, like, or whatever, like, you know, but there are things that we control too, like the rhino. We took over its habitat, we killed them off, and now they're extinct because, hey, you know, we didn't do anything about it. I think that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, nobody, you know, is thinking that, oh, I better not, you know, hunt this because it's, you know, nobody thinks that way, you know.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that should be good. Anyway, like I said, a lot of things to think about. I thought extinct animals, I mean, it's something to think about, you know, the extinction of animals and then the extinction of us, because every time an animal goes extinct, it sends a ripple, and that ripple affects other animals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you said, I think you brought it up, the mosquito. If the mosquito would go extinct, that would affect a bunch of other critters, you know, and those critters go extinct, and then other critters would be affected.
Yeah.
And eventually it'd get to us. It's like they talk about the bee. If the honeybee goes extinct or, dies out or something, would that affect us?
Hmm. Apparently, yes.
And then what? Would we go extinct because of a bee? That would be really silly to
Well,
think
it's
of
kind
that.
of like or like you said, a ripple effect. One here, one there, and it's just over
Mhm.
time, it just builds up. Until it breaks.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally get that. But like I said, it's I don't know. I hope people leave me comments, but are certain animals meant to be extincted? Are certain animals like the saber-toothed tiger. If there was saber-toothed tigers living in North America today, when the white man arrived, we would have killed them all off within years. Few years, we'd have killed them all off. We would have went out there with our big guns and we would have shot every one of them. Do you agree?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because they would have been big and powerful. It'd be like tigers running around with
Yeah.
giant teeth sticking out, and we would have came out there with our 30-30s and our long guns and our Colt repeating rifles, and every time you saw one, we'd hunt them down, we'd shoot them off. I mean, they did that with the cougars and the mountain lions. They did it with the wolves. They pretty much almost extincted the wolves right here in North America because, oh my gosh, we don't want a wolf eating our little lamb or our chickens, so we'll just kill them all off.
Yeah. Well, luckily they stopped that though, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, now they're trying to bring them back, and I think that's the wrong thing to do because yeah, it's fine to have a few of them around, but you're trying to bring them back in areas where people have established homes and living and so forth and so on. Now you're creating problems. That's why we killed them off in the first place, is because they created problems. So
yeah, they will kill all the deer and everything. So essentially, which is our food. So yeah, you're gonna notice. Yeah, no, that's the thing. But you can maybe relocate them somewhere in the wild.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing is what is the wild anymore? Where is the wild?
Where there's no people at all.
But is that really true anymore?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have so much land. North America, Canada, I think may even have more than you guys, but there's so much land that's not used. That we're only in small, tiny little pockets, really. There's so much land that animals could be roaming, but we have to relocate them there.
That's but that is the thing too. Is will that animal say, "Oh, look, you put me in this nice little area. I'm going to stay right here." He moves around. He don't care. He don't care about fences.
Oh no! As long as he's got food, he'll stay there. They'll hunt there, eat there. They'll have their babies there. They'll be in their territory. As long as they got food, they're okay. But that's the problem. If they can't find food, and we've had some problems with cougars and whatnot here. Then they start coming into town, and you can see them. They're really skinny, and that's when it starts getting scary because they're looking for it. Could be a pet, your kid, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but as long as they're they do have food, they don't come into town. It's only when they're desperate.
Yeah.
So the bears, however, they've gotten accustomed to it now. It's becoming a nuisance, but we are trying to kind of relocate them. Put them back out in the wild and stuff like that. But the worst thing that's happening now is that, unfortunately, that whole bill about culling 400 ostriches here went through. So they're going to be culling all the ostriches here because some test.
The ostriches?
Yeah. Bird flu, right? We got bird flu going on now. So speaking of, this could be a real problem if they start going gung ho, freaking like they did in 2020. With this nonsense, all our all our birds and fowl could be destroyed right now.
Yeah. See, and again, we'll extinct ourselves. We'll be like, there's bird flu, and then we got to run around and kill all the birds off, and we'll kill all, but then we'll look at each other going, Well, we got rid of all the chickens and all the turkeys and all the geese and all the ducks. And
Which just no eggs, no meat, no eggs. So, yeah, I know. It's almost like it's thought out though, isn't it?
yeah,
It's almost
but the thing is who spread the bird flu? The birds, the real birds. Are we going to go out and kill all the real birds off too?
Well,
See,
the
that's
thing
what.
is, this particular case, they've proven that the herd had herd immunity. They've proven it because a couple of them were sick or whatever, and that was it. It's just like this is how it happens. So if so many people, we get colds and whatever, we die. A couple of us, doesn't mean that the whole species die. A couple did, and then they tested the other ones, and they were fine. They had herd immunity now. So I don't know exactly how they were able to get this through, but it's things are not going in a good direction here when it comes to birds.
Yeah.
Foul. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Well, we got a show tomorrow night, don't we? Why don't you tell everybody about the show?
We're going to have a really good one. I just discovered this guy. And I'll grab you guys the link here. Let's try to see if I can say his name. Abdullah Hashem Abba al-Sadiq. He thinks he's the new Madai or Madi or whatever it's called. Did you get a chance to look this guy up, Robert?
Not much. Okay.
Oh, this guy is something else. I got lots to say about this guy, what I think, he's all about. And I'll go over, a little bit about him. I mean, I know quite a bit already. It's amazing what you can pick up. Different videos, yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll know a lot by tomorrow, though.
Sorry?
I says I'll know a lot by tomorrow.
That's right.
I've been working on my extinct animals for the last few days.
Yeah, so. I know. Got a lot on your plate there.
I hope everybody got something out of the extinct animals, because I know I did. I did a lot of thinking about a lot of the stuff. A lot of things really hit me hard, especially that they're gone, like the black rhino, and the big tortoise, from the Galapagos. It's really sad knowing that there'll never be another one. They're all gone. They're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see how big they are. It's just will they bring them back? And will technology change? And who knows? I don't know. Who knows?
I guess only the fast breeding animals survive, I guess.
Well, I get to wondering sometimes is the rate that we're going at things. Will we, recreate all the as technology goes? Let's put it this way. I'm gonna just make a story. Say we create all these crazy wild animals. We get the technology to create everything from the dire wolf to the woolly mammoth, the saber-toothed tiger, all of that stuff. We recreate it, and then humanity dies out, and these animals are left to fend for themselves in the wild. You see what I'm saying? What a circle of life that would be is we recreate the animals that went extinct, and then we go extinct because just like you were just talking about the bird flu. Mm-hmm. What if there's some kind of weird flu that kills all of us off, and we're down to 10% of the population. I mean, these animals would come back and take over again.
Yeah. So the cycle begins again. It's like a never-ending sort of cycle.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. I'm thinking, where did a woolly mammoth actually come from? Thousands of years of elephant trying to go north or something. Where did the saber-toothed tiger come from? Thousands of years of. You see where I'm going with this? It's like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, I could see where the bull that auroch became a cow. Would the cow become an auroch? Would a elk become the Irish elk? Would it just morph into an Irish elk again? I don't know. How would it get across the sea to get over there? Would it would it escape from a zoo in Ireland, and all the people died off, and then eventually the Irish elk recreates itself by some wild elk roaming around on the island, eating a healthy lifestyle. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay, well, with that, we'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. It was a good show, a lot to think about. Go out and save some animals. Take care of the ones you got. Study up on it. I think it's all about knowledge. Don't go out and kill the last turtle dove out there or something, because, they need to repopulate too. Don't go out and run over critters running over the road, or, saying, oh, there's plenty of them, because there might not be plenty of them. You might be getting rid of the last one. Pay attention to your nature outside your door.
Exactly. Bring awareness to it, because like we said, it's a lot of people are asleep. They don't think about things like that.
Yeah.
Just the garbage situation. It's like we don't think too far.
Yeah.
It's
we
all
really
about right now and us, and who cares about the future,
Yeah.
So
We
yeah, so
really
bring
don't.
awareness to that. That's the thing. That's how you fix because you were asking about how you gonna fix it. Well, that's how you're gonna. It's the only way you're gonna fix it is just bringing awareness to it.
You
By
fix
sharing
it
this video, with all
Exactly.
sleepers.
So with that, everybody, go out and share, and be the frequency you want to receive of everyone. We love you all. Peace, everybody.